The story begins by telling us about the fantasy world of Hades. It happens to be in the invincible land of the Demon King's castle, and it is the home to 3 demon princesses, all of whom are powerful enough to threaten the world. Even more threatening than the princesses is the butler, who is known to be the strongest of Hades. It turns out that he will turn out to be the trump card for the world. It is his duty to find out the deepest and darkest secrets of the demon princesses, and it is his mission to become the most unrivaled butler in another world. Now, we see a carriage which is in the Demon King's territory. Inside this carriage is our hero Sakaki Rudo, also known as Ryu, who is being taken to meet his end. The knight carrying him takes him to a spot where his life will be taken. But it doesn't look like Ryu wants to be a part of this. He puts his hand on a locket that he is wearing, after which he tells us that he is living out a nightmare. It all began 1 week ago when he was brought to the fantasy world of Hades by a cute wizard girl. She welcomes Ryu as a hero, and we learn that the various heroes of this land are all blessed with supernatural powers. Ryu is not the only boy who has been summoned here, as we can see his classmates with him as well. He tries to make sense of the situation because he was just minding his own business in class not too long ago. That's when he recalls a massive earthquake that was about to cause a lot of destruction when he passed out. The wizard girl reveals that it was due to this earthquake that all of the students are here. This implies that they may not have been summoned, but could have rather been reincarnated in another world. Now, they are in this glorious empire which is known as Lux, and they are needed to lend their strength in order to fight all the monsters that have been appearing here recently. All of this is part of a bid to defeat the Demon King, but none of the students have settled into their new reality yet. They are still trying to figure out how they got here in the first place, and some of them are not able to grasp the fact that they are not alive in their original world anymore. Our hero Sakiko has a lot of thoughts going on in his mind, and he is glad to have been brought to another world. He finally realizes that he is not in a dream anymore, and he is actually needed to defeat the Demon King, just like in all the games he used to play back in his original world. Ryu reveals to us that he had a loser life in his previous world, but he is a hero here, so it could mean a change of fortunes. He can change his perception in this new world. But just as he plans out his new life, another student asks a question. He is the popular boy of his class, and his name is Izuyama Shouda. He asks the wizard girl if she can return him and his friends back to their original world, as he does not have a clear idea of what is going on over here. She says that she can most definitely return them to their real world, but the only thing waiting for them over there is death. This means that the entire group was summoned to this world right before they succumbed to the earthquake. Izuyama now understands the gravity of the situation, and he holds on to the wizard girl to thank her for his rescue. He gives her a smile and promises to lend her his strength, which somewhat awakens her intrusive thoughts. Since Izuyama has given his word, even the other students agree to lend their strength as well. It's a happy conclusion overall, but our hero does not seem to like what's going on. This is because he is not the main character of this story if Izuyama is the popular boy. Anyway, the wizard girl needs to confirm the statuses of the heroes that have been summoned here, so she asks them to raise their hands. They do as she says, and then we get a glimpse of what everyone is capable of. Starting off with Izuyama, he has been given the ability of Saint Brave. A boy named Akagaki Shaoji has the Guardian ability. A girl named Shoguji Minace has the title of Master. And another girl named Kino Moto Matsuki has been given the title of Creator. The wizard girl is extremely impressed by this, as is the old wizard with her. After all, each of these heroes have unbelievable skills that can help this kingdom overcome the Demon Lord. Izuyama is told that the Saint Brave ability was also possessed by the hero who built the Lux Empire, so he has a great skill to flex. However, we do not know what has happened with Sakaki, who is hoping that his status will change this situation for him. However, when he checks out his stat bar, he sees that he has been given the title of Hanged Man. He does not have any proficiency. His life will be marked by hardships. His path will be filled with tribulations. His aspirations will be painfully broken. But even so, he has to keep fighting for the light at the end of the tunnel. Of course, Ryu only looks at these lines as some kind of odd poem, and his panicked state leads the old wizard to ask him what's wrong. Our hero shows him the stat bar and asks him what it all means. It does not look good for him, as the wizard is also shocked to see what is in front of him. He then calls out to the cute wizard girl to have a look, and we learn that her name is Iris. She comes along to see what the fuss is all about, but that's when she realizes that our hero has a blank status. Ryu asks her what this means, so she replies that even though it is unfortunate, the truth is that he is not a hero. This naturally shocks Ryu, so he holds on to the wizard girl and asks her what's the meaning of this. He wants to know what will happen to him if he is not a hero, but he gets a bit too restless, so he is asked to calm down. It's Izuyama who brings him back to his senses, but it's a bit too late as we can see all the other students looking at him with doubtful eyes. They start to gossip about him and say all kinds of mean things, such as calling him a weirdo for attacking Iris, even though he is the one who does not have any powers of his own. At the end of the day, it's the same old story for our hero, because the kids of his class would judge him the exact same way back in Japan as well. The gossip becomes a bit too much for him to take in, but he's used to it anyway. After all, none of the students really expect anything from him after an incident that had happened back in their original world. Ryu knows that no matter what he says, he will not be able to sway the public opinion on him due to this very incident. He is being laughed at by everyone again, so nothing has really changed even after being summoned to a fantasy world. Now, Iris apologizes to him for all the confusion, and she says that she will explain the whole situation to him soon. Our hero says sorry to her as well, because he did act out of line. Now, the wizard girl says that all the chosen ones will receive training for a full 1 year, in order for them to get ready to defeat the Demon King. However, they are all given 1 week off, so that they can get used to the ways of this new world. This is good news for the students, and they are looking forward to explore everything in the Lux Empire. There will be a welcome party for them as well, so the kids are excited, and they start making plans for this week. One of the students says that he could really use his smartphone right now, but Ryu has other problems to deal with. He thought he could live a much better life in this world, but as it turns out, he does not belong here either. Now, Iris comes to him and says sorry for making him so anxious. He says it's all right, and then the wizard girl says that she would like to ask a favor of him. It seems like a simple enough request, but Iris suddenly turns to demon mode and tells our hero that she will need his cooperation for the sake of her empire. This creeps him out for sure, but then he realizes that he can be useful to Iris if he listens to what she says. She tells him that he will find value if he obeys her commands, so he decides to grant her the favor. After all, it's much better than being with a group of classmates that have bullied him all the time. Before things can move further, Kinomoto calls out to Ryu and asks him if he is going to the party later. He says that he will skip it because he knows he will not fit in over there. He then tells her that she is amazing because she has been given the skill of creator. She does not look happy and even apologizes to our hero, so he asks her why she is saying this to him. Kinomoto reveals that she was not able to cover for him earlier, and this is why she is feeling bad about herself. Ryu looks at Kinomoto as if she is some kind of angel, and then she gives him the locket we had seen earlier. He asks her what it is, and she explains that she has put her magic into the locket. It will get activated if he breaks it, and will be useful in an emergency. Ryu is amazed that Kinomoto already knows how to use her skills, and he tells her that he will treasure the locket for sure. Kinomoto asks him what he will do now, and he explains that Iris does seem to have a job for him. Since his life was saved by the wizard girl, he does feel the need to pay back the favor. And then Kinomoto asks if there is anything she can do to help him out. He tells her not to worry about him because she will also have her training to worry about. She agrees, but also has a bad feeling about what Iris might do to him. It turns out that she is not the only one who feels this way, as Ryu is also a bit skeptical of what might be asked from him. Either way, he knows he has been given a second chance at life, so he should make the most of it and see what happens. Kinomoto is amazed by his positive attitude, and then we see Ryu in the carriage from before. It turns out that Iris had tricked him into getting onto the carriage in order to abandon him in the Demon King's territory. The knight kicks our hero off the carriage and tells him that his job will be to lose his life in this area. Basically, the plan is for the Demon King to look at Ryu's corpse and think of him as the hero who was supposed to end him. This will give the Demon King a false sense of security and will thus serve as a distraction. Of course, our hero is not on board with this kind of plan, as he is simply being treated as some kind of expendable trash. He asks the knight how the Demon King would know he is a hero, but he only gets smacked in the face for arguing with him. With that, the knight abandons Ryu and leaves him to rot in the land of the Demon Lord. Our hero is clearly sad because all he wanted to do was be of use to the others. He thinks back to his classmates and Iris, and only believes that they were never on his side. He laments the fact that he might lose his life here, which means that he has made no difference in his original world as well as his new one. He is not needed by anyone, and there is nothing that he can achieve. Having said that, he promises to struggle for survival right till the very end. This is how things should be anyway, especially if we consider what his stat bar had told him. With that, his ultimate trial begins, and we can see his eyes lighting up. There is some kind of sound that is ringing in his head, and Ryu is willing to bet his whole life on how this thing turns out. The slogan of his trial commencing continues to ring in his head, and he has had enough of these sounds, so he tries to end it. Now, he checks out his status again and learns that he is in a trial because of his presence in an unknown territory. Due to this, all his skill limitations have been released. Although his stats are not even at rank F, he currently has the skills of wisdom, intuition, and discernment, all of which are mental skills rather than physical. Ryu can see that the stat bar looks a whole lot different from what it was back at the royal castle. Plus, even though he is currently in a crisis, he is extremely calm, which could be an effect of his discernment skill. He looks at some of the terms on the stats bar, such as tarot card, reversed, and hanged man. Before he can think of anything else, his skill of intuition comes into play, and he immediately looks behind. That is when we see a deadly monster approaching him. It definitely looks like an ugly beast as it licks its lips upon seeing fresh meat. The stat bar tells our hero that he is up against an encountered gore monk, and his trial will commence soon. From the looks of it, he will need to survive this monster for at least 30 seconds if he is to win the trial, and all the hints keep telling him to escape from this zone. Of course, this is not as easy as it sounds, especially for Ryu, who does not really have any fighting skills. That's when the stat bar tells him the reward for winning the trial is increased physical ability as well as strength of existence. These words make him alert, and then he springs into action against the gore monk monster. The beast continues to attack him, but Ryu is able to use his mental skills to predict its moves and dodge it. He does well enough for 15 seconds, and the system tells him he's halfway there. However, he falls to the ground and is unable to escape from the beast now. The alerts on his system are of no use as our hero can't move quickly enough to avoid getting struck. He has no other option now but to use the locket that Kinomoto gave him as a gift. He knows that he had promised to treasure it, but desperate times call for desperate measures. He throws the locket at the gore monk monster, and it breaks from the impact, which causes a massive burst of energy to release. Ryu is blinded by the lights coming from this attack, and then he can see that the beast has been frozen. He realizes that Kinomoto had kept ice magic inside the locket, and then the system tells him that 30 seconds have passed. This means that his strength and physical abilities will be increased, but that's not the end of it. Now, he is being given a new trial, which is to defeat the gore monk monster. Our hero is not too pleased to learn that he has already been given a new challenge, and that too, an extremely difficult one. He then sees that his growth rate will also be increased for this particular challenge, so he decides to give it a shot. After all, since the beast is frozen, it can't attack him right now. The best option would be to destroy it while he still has the chance. So Ryu puts in all his strength and launches a finisher punch on it. As expected, his increased strength is good enough to shatter the ice as well as the monster. It is actually a lot easier than he had expected it to be. And then the system tells him that his strength and physical abilities will be further increased. Even if that is the case, he does not feel anything new. On top of that, he can see that his overall rank has increased from G- to F. This is good enough for our hero, so he decides to focus on his next mission, which is to look for some food. Of course, it's not as easy as he would like to be, because he ends up fighting tons of monsters on the way. He comes across giant snakes and even demon bats, all of whom are tough to beat. Even so, Ryu manages to get the job done and moves further ahead. Unfortunately, his will to fight can only take him to a certain point, and he collapses from hunger soon after. He does not know how many days he has gone without eating any food, and at this rate, things are not looking good for him at all. He has to eat something anyhow, and that's when the system wakes up yet again. It seems to want to reverse the signs of excessive eating, but is unable to do so because of no strength. He tells the system to shut up, and then wonders what he's doing with this new life. He does not know what lies beyond his current state, and then he asks himself why he is holding on to such a life, while also holding in so much pain. When he was a kid, he believed he could become a legendary hero who could change the world. However, an incident happened which he witnessed, and it led him to run away from his surroundings. Despite that, he could not get anything done in Japan, just like how he can't get anything done in this world as well. In the end, he tried so hard and got so far, but it doesn't really matter anymore. As he accepts the end of his life, Ryu hears someone coming up from behind and voices start to whisper to each other. Our hero thinks he is seeing a human shadow, but it is running away from something, and he is unable to figure out what it is. He does not know what he should do, but this is not the time to hold back or hesitate. So Ryu decides to chase after the shadow to help out. Now, we see that the human who was running away is actually a demon princess who is trying to escape a gore monk monster. She orders it not to come near her when she gets cornered, but it does not seem to be of any use. She reminds the monster what it is and says that it has no right to attack a demon princess like her. Of course, her words fall on deaf ears as the beast proceeds to approach her with harmful intent. The demon girl laments that she can't use any magic to defend herself, and this has led to an unfortunate situation. She asks for help and even calls out to her family members, although we don't know where they might be. The demon princess is clearly in a tough spot, so Ryu decides he is going to help her, even if it means using up whatever is left of him. The system warns him not to do anything because he will lose his life if he tries to save the demon princess. However, he simply tells it to shut up despite all the repeated warnings being given to him. He does not listen to his intuition and tells us that even though he has not been useful to anyone in this world, it will not stop him from saving a girl in distress. Until the very end, he is going to make sure that he will help out someone for sure, and he does not mind losing his life as a result of it. This is when the system tells him that his philosophy is exactly the type that should exist in a hanged man character. Now, Ryu shows up in front of the demon princess and keeps her protected from the gore monk monster. She is confused to see such a weak and tired boy showing such bravery. And then Ryu puts in all his power to punch the monster. It's a strong enough attack, and it leads the beats to fall off the cliff, thus saving the life of the demon princess. However, it looks like our hero is also falling off the cliff due to the momentum of his punch. As he falls to his end, he recalls how he has given his life away, and it is exactly like how the knight from the Empire had told him. However, he knows that he has saved someone's life in the process, and that should be good enough for him. At the end of it all, he is glad that a seemingly useless life has served some purpose. Suddenly, he can hear the demon princess talking to him, as she asks him not to be so absent-minded. Her name is revealed to be Ruru Noah, and she says that he has saved her life, so she will not allow him to be ended just like that. She is preparing something for him to eat, but he thinks that he is still dreaming. Now, Ruru puts a magical item inside Ryu's mouth, and she says that he will get better from it. She also reveals that Ryu was out cold for a whole day, so he should not exert himself at all. He says okay, but Ruru says that he should not be so disrespectful to the daughter of the Demon King. He should be saying things in a way as if she is her ruler, but this confuses him. The demon princess smiles at our hero, and she looks very cute, but Ryu can't afford to let his intrusive thoughts take over. He gets up and is in shock over realizing that he has just saved the life of the Demon King's daughter. It's quite funny because he was abandoned due to the fact that he would be useless in the subjugation of the Demon King, and yet, here he is being fed by his own daughter. Now, Ryu's system gets activated again and says something odd. He has been fed some magic power by an arcana holder, which means that the abilities and skills of both parties will be increased. The system also tells Ryu that it had expected him to pull off something so heroic. The demon princess is a bit confused to see Ryu seemingly talking to himself, and that's when our hero realizes that Ruru can't hear what the system is telling him. Strangely enough, the system answers his thoughts and tells him that nobody else can hear their conversation. Naturally, Ryu asks the system why it has suddenly started to talk to him as if they are pals. So it says that the hanged man has proven himself to be an interesting character. The system also seems to call out our hero for putting his life on the line for someone else. This is because it believes that the only reason Ryu is doing it is to satisfy his own need of approval. Our hero does not like such words, so he tells it to shut up. Of course, he does not realize that he is basically making a fool of himself in front of the demon princess. He tries to brush aside the topic and asks Ruru for a proper introduction. She gives it to him by stating that she is the one and only daughter of the Demon King Rurukia. She hilariously asks Ryu to praise her for simply giving an introduction. But he wants to know why the daughter of the Demon King is here in the dangerous woods. Ruru does not like that he was not paying attention to what she just said. And then she goes on to explain how it was her birthday yesterday, which meant that she had received a lot of gifts. She did not realize that among these gifts was hidden a magic sealing spell, as well as a teleportation device. As can be guessed from the name, the magic sealing spell was like a curse which prevented Ruru from using any of her magic, which is rather cruel. It also explains why she was not able to defend herself from the Gore Monk monster. Ryu plays along, but in his head, he's wondering how silly Ruru has to be to get a curse placed on herself. Now, the demon princess wants to know why a human is here in this dangerous territory. To her, such areas are usually a walk in the park. But Ryu calls her out because crying for help against a monster is a pretty rough situation. Ruru comes close to him and tells him to shut up, but he feels she is a touch too close for comfort. He reveals his name, and that's when he wonders if she's aware of him being summoned to this world in order to defeat the Demon King. Normally, the two of them would have been sworn enemies, but in this case, she thanks our hero for saving her life. This means she has no idea about his true identity, so he decides to be honest and upfront. He tells her that she may not believe him, but he is actually a fake hero who has been summoned her from another world. Contrary to how he would have expected her to react, the demon princess is actually thrilled to see Ryu, as she has never really met anyone from another world. Now, our hero asks her if she is a demon, because he feels that she would be repulsed and disgusted by the mere sight of a hero. Instead, Ruru says that heroes are supposed to be the strong ones amongst the humans, so it fits within his category. She also seems to find him cool. But Ryu knows that he is not really worthy of such a phrase. He goes on to tell her that all of his other classmates became heroes, but he was not chosen to be one due to his low stats. This led to him being abandoned here, and he does not have any place to return to anymore. As the both of them sit down to have a chat, Ryu thinks about how hard it has been for him to try and settle into this world. He was not able to achieve anything until he saved Ruru. And this holds true even for when he was back in Japan. He has been searching for something all his life. And it does not have to do with him being a main character or a hero. He just wants to find something he can do regularly, and also for a place where he feels like he can belong. However, such things do not exist for him, which is why he is roaming around like a headless chicken. Since he has no reason or place to live, he only rescued Ruru for his own satisfaction. Of course, the demon princess does not care about his intentions at all, because at the end of the day, he managed to save her life, and that's what matters the most. She reveals that she gets targeted a lot of times because of who her father is. But our hero did not even hesitate to save her life despite not even knowing who she was. This gesture has made her incredibly happy, and she wants to reward Ryu for what he has done. Since he wants a reason and a place to live, she is ready to give both to him. She states that the reason he is still alive right now is to come to this world and save her life. This is when she suggests that he become a butler in the Demon King's castle. If he does this, he can live to protect Ruru, and will also have a place to stay. Ryu can't believe that Ruru was able to decide all of this so easily and all by herself. But he is still happy because he is wanted by her. It does not matter if she is a selfish demon princess, because our hero has finally got a reason to live. He knows that if he takes her hand, there is no going back, and he is ready to make that choice. Ruru gives him an order, and it is to live for her. So he takes her hand and begins a rather strange relationship with the demon princess. Now, the couple walks through the forest, while Ruru sings about how she is going to become the next demon king. Ryu is only interested in knowing if they are going the right way because he feels like they are lost. Ruru tells him such a thing can never be a problem, and they will be at the Demon King's castle soon enough. At this very moment, a giant cobra snake shows up out of nowhere, and it causes Ruru to panic. She does not know what to do, but Ryu does, and he smacks down the monster with a smack to the face. He asks the demon princess if she is all right, and she nervously states that she has wisely chosen her butler. Ryu becomes a bit humble and tells her that she is the one who has made this possible. Now that it has been 2 days since he has been escorting Ruru, Ryu has got a better understanding of his own powers. He explains his own leveling skills to us by talking about monsters fighting him. Basically, if he comes across a monster that is stronger than him, or from an unknown territory, then he begins a trial against them. Depending on the gap in skills between them, he will level up as per survival as well as subjugation skills. Ryu has been gaining a lot of strength due to defeating countless monsters, and he is not even feeling hungry or thirsty anymore despite surviving a few days without any food or drink. This could be a benefit of leveling up, but he will not gain any levels from defeating the snake monster, as he has already beaten it before. He then goes on to check his stats, all of which have grown by a lot, especially after consuming Ruru's powers. He is now at rank C, which is quite good for a boy who has just been summoned to this world. There is also the reverse skill on his stat bar, but he does not know what it means and how he can use it. After all, it had failed when he tried to reverse the gluttony effect because of no sustenance at the time. Suddenly, the system voice comes back and tells our hero that he is in a much better state now. This means that he can activate his reverse skill if he would like to do so. However, Ryu makes fun of it by saying it is way too eager to talk about his reverse skill. The system gets offended and tells our hero that it has only stayed silent because of the romance that was brewing between him and Ruru. Ryu gets a bit embarrassed, and he tells the system to stop making fun of him, because it was the first time he ever saw kindness in this world. The system call him out for being heartless because he seems to have already forgotten about the girl who gave him the locket before he left for the woods. Of course, it is referring to Kinomoto, but Ryu does not seem to recall what she had done for him. The system asks him why he is being so silent, and then reminds him of how he ended up beating the Gore Monk monster the first time. Ryu can't seem to remember it instantly, but then he realizes that he was able to freeze the beast before punching it to pieces. However, he can't recall all of it, probably because he is too tired of the walking around. Suddenly, Ruru calls out to him and says that she can see some black and purple smoke. This is the smoke signal of the demon knights, which means that they could be nearby. Having said that, the demon princess instantly jumps on top of Ryu's back and asks him to run towards the smoke, although he is a bit confused. She says that if they run fast, then they can meet someone named Zera, who is supposed to be with the knights. Ryu asks her who Zera is, and she says that she's a friend. With that, our hero activates his inner athlete and charges towards the target with a jolt of speed. Ruru is amazed by his speed, but he tells her to hold on to him properly if she wants to remain on his back by the time they reach their destination. Ryu is aware that the demon princess wants him to meet her knights, but he is not sure if they will accept him as a human. As a matter of fact, he even worries that they might want to take his life the moment he hands Ruru over to them. The demon princess tells him that once they get to the demon king's castle, she will introduce him to her father, Zera, and someone else named Nell. She asks him to just be confident and hold his head up high while she handles the rest. This puts Ryu's mind at ease because he does not need to worry when he has Ruru to calm him down. However, at this very moment, the couple gets attacked by a mysterious beast. Ryu is able to dodge the attack, but then he sees that he is up against a giant wolf monster. Ruru panics instantly and identifies it as a dirty blood wolf, which is not usually found in such an area. She wants to run away from the monster, but it's a bit too late for them now because the dirty blood wolf is way too close to them. Ryu points out correctly that they will be ended if they look away, so the only option now is to take the beast head on. Since this is an extremely powerful beast, the system wakes up and tells our hero that his trial will begin soon. The trial reveals that the breed is actually a death-mound great wolf, and the target is to defeat it. There's also a certain catch to this trial, which is that it will be judged based on the use of the reverse skill. This means that the reward will depend on how Ryu is able to use the skill on the wolf. Our hero tells Ruru to get off his back and find a place to hide because things can get ugly here. Of course, he himself has no idea how he is going to counter this opponent, and that too with the reverse skill. The system becomes sentient once more and tells Ryu that his body is at the perfect level to awaken this secret weapon. The only thing he needs to make it work is strong emotion, but he has no clue what that is supposed to mean. The system tells him it's the same tool he needed to reverse gluttony, but he did not have energy to do anything back then. This time is different, so he has to challenge it one more time. Of course, saying it so suddenly will not make a difference to Ryu, but he has to act fast in front of the monster. The wolf slashes him with a paw attack, and Ryu has no idea how it happens so quickly. The beast is too fast for even his intuition to work, and then he sees Ruru trying to cheer him on. Of course, she should be focusing on running away because things are not looking too good for our hero. Ruru does not listen to him, and she tries to shoot at the death-mound giant wolf. This obviously does not work on the beast, and only angers him further towards the demon princess. Ryu worries that the wolf will attack Ruru, so he demands him not to lay a hand on her. This awakens his emotion, so the system tells him that he can choose his reversal based on the original sin of humanity. Ryu does not care about any of these philosophies, and he says that he only wishes to protect his mistress. He is fine with whatever power comes his way, so he demands the system to give him this strength. Ryu is extremely passionate about this, so his reverse skill is activated with greed as the emotion. The reversal process begins with a flash, tempting both Ruru as well as the wolf monster to see what exactly is going on. What follows is a lengthy explanation from the system, which highlights the nature of the avatar that our hero is about to take on. He turns into a plunderer who spares no one due to his desire for more and more. He is the man who has lost to his desires, and he is called the Mask of Greedy Black Death, also known as Mavalisha. Ryu has a crow mask on him now, and he looks more epic than he has ever been across both his lives. He floats in the sky and looks at the giant wolf with scorn in his eyes. The beast gets triggered by his sight, so he decides to attack him with full force. Taking him down is a piece of cake for our hero, so he uses his move genius and traps the monster in giant chains. With that, he smacks the wolf beast to the ground and claims victory with just one move. Since his reversal skill has been awakened, the trial is now complete, and he gets his multiple rewards. His strength and physical abilities grow yet again, and on top of that, he has also been granted an eternal dominion over the death-mound Great Wolf. The danger is over now, but there are a lot of questions that need to be answered. Ruru asks Ryu if he is still the same man she chose to be her butler, because the outfit he is wearing is rather odd. She wants an explanation, and our hero would love to give one, but he himself seems to be lost for words. Anyway, he has to do something about the wolf monster, which has been tied up by the chains, but is still looking quite angry. He takes a look at his stats and can see that he is at a much higher level due to his reversed condition. He has tons of new skills to boast, including that of making anyone his slave, but he only has 5 minutes remaining on his reversal timer. Ryu is upset to see this because he will not be able to check out the rest of his abilities. But then Ruru calls him strange for speaking to himself. Ryu knows that genius was not the move he needed to use to calm down the wolf monster. So he takes a closer look at it and can sense some kind of other magic that has been cast on it. He can also sense pain coming from the beast, so he uses his goblin move to free him from his chains. This move is used to absorb the berserker curse that has been placed on the great wolf too. Now that he has freed the wolf, it will now obey him as his master for life. At the same time, both Ryu and the wolf gain some stats due to the achievement of Dominion. Our hero celebrates his achievement, but he laments that his head is hurting from all the information he has had to process. Ruru asks him if all is well, and he says yes, but he also needs to finish this up, while he still has the strength to do so. Now, the system asks Ryu if he would like to exercise dominion over the Great Wolf, but he is a bit hesitant to do so. The system tells him that it's really impressive for him to have achieved such a thing, so he should just go ahead and make the beast his pet. This makes him consider the proposal for a bit, but at the end of the day, he decides to reject the proposal, much to the dismay of the wolf. He even gives our hero the puppy eyes, but he tells him that his hands are full right now. Since he is so occupied, he really can't afford to bring in a pet for himself. If the wolf could shrink his size, then he would have gladly accepted him, but he doubts if the beast can do that. Even so, the system tells him not to give the wolf any ideas, and it will not be held responsible for anything that may happen as a result of this. Ryu has other things to worry about, and then Ruru rushes to him for a nice hug. She thanks him for all that he's done so far, because he has been an amazing butler to her. Since he is indispensable to her, she will make sure that he will be acknowledged and accepted by the rest of her family. From the looks of it, things are going to get very exciting for Ryu. Now, we shift to the Demon King's castle, where we see our hero comfortably placed inside a nice bed. He wakes up, but does not seem to recognize where he has been brought. That's when he hears a voice from a cute maid girl telling him that he's been asleep for a while. She happens to be Fina, who is the head maid of the Demon King's castle. She reveals that Ryu has been knocked out for a total of 2 full weeks, and he had tons of injuries to tend to. Fina took all the necessary measures to treat those wounds, and now he is perfectly fine. Our hero can't believe that he is finally inside the Demon King's castle, and he thanks Fina for her service. The maid girl apologizes for being hasty, as she asks him to change his clothes as soon as possible. After all, the Demon King is waiting to see him, so he should not waste any more time. Ryu dresses up and looks fine as a gentleman, but he wonders what will happen when he meets the Demon King. He is supposed to be the biggest enemy of this world, and he is not sure if he will even survive the first meeting with Ruru's dad. He knocks on the door and is allowed to come in, after which we finally see the Demon King of this world. He is shown to be a cool man, and he tells Ryu not to be so stiff around him. He tells him to take a seat, and then even jokes that he will not eat him or anything like that. He reveals his full name to be Alto Eder Rurukia, but calling him Alto will also work. Ryu is visibly nervous, but he never imagined the Demon King to be such a chilled-out character. Now, Alto tells our hero that he heard everything from his daughter. He even bows down to Ryu and thanks him for saving Ruru's life. He laments that he was not able to do it himself despite being the Demon King of his land, and he finds it quite pitiful. Of course, Ryu is feeling a bit embarrassed that Alto is bowing down to him, so he asks him to raise his head. Alto tells Ryu that he will reward him properly the next time they meet, but for now, he wishes to discuss something important with him. First of all, he wants to confirm that the people of the Lux Empire were not able to see his skills and stats. After he gets the confirmation, he reveals that normal people and even demons might not be able to see what our hero can see in his own status. As a matter of fact, Alto himself can't detect anything despite his immense powers, so he wants to know exactly what kind of skills Ryu possesses. Ryu tells him that it's called the Hanged Man, and that's when it all starts to make sense to Alto. The Demon Lord declares that our hero is actually an Arcana user, and he asks him who first saw his status. He says that it was the old man who was with Iris, and Alto reveals it's exactly how he had guessed it. This is when we learn it's not that Ryu's status can't be seen, but rather that it's been hidden by the old man. Our hero does not follow, so the Demon Lord explains it's a high-level concealment skill, which only the old man could do since he is a hermit. Ryu asks Alto to tell him more about the Arcana skill, so he corrects him by saying an Arcana is actually a type of magic card that is connected to its user. The existence of such people is some kind of mystery, and all of these people have insane abilities. As of now, there are only 21 people who are Arcana users, and a few of them happen to be in Alto's territory as well. Also, the hermit who hid Ryu's powers is also an Arcana user who is specialized in the skill of hiding. It doesn't matter if it's him or anyone else. The hermit can hide form, status, and even memories. Of course, Ryu wants to know why the old man hid his status, and the Demon King explains that it could be because he did not want the Empire to exploit our hero's Arcana abilities. This is odd because it would put the Lux Empire at a disadvantage. But then Alto remembers that Ryu is not a human from the Empire, and his origin is unknown. He then asks Ryu if he was told that he's a hero who has been summoned by the Empire. He also asks if our hero has been told that demons are evil and need to be exterminated from this world. This comes as a bit of a shock to Ryu because Alto has said every single thing accurately. This is when it is revealed that the humans have actually tricked Ryu into believing lies about the Demon Empire. It turns out that the other races are completely fine with the demons, and it's only the humans who seem to have a problem with them. The monsters we have seen so far are simply third parties who are not at all related to Alto or his people. Now that he thinks about it, Ryu realizes that if the monsters were really siding with the demons, then there would have been no way the Gore Monk or the Great Wolf would have attacked Ruru. The Demon King is glad to see that our hero is using his brains now. He then explains that this is a running scam where Iris summons humans from other worlds and tricks them into fighting against the demons. This is why the humans are made to isolate inside the castle, so that they do not engage with any other races. This explains a lot about Iris and her intentions, but Ryu wants to know why the Lux Empire is after the demon territory. Alto explains that it's because the Lux Empire is the closest to the land of the demons. They want to take over this area because of all the magical powers and resources available over here. This is a horrible way to go about things, and it makes Ryu angry about his classmates being used as pawns. Alto tells our hero that if he were to reveal his true powers to the humans right now, then they would easily take him back without asking any questions at all. The Demon King knows that Ruru wants to make him her butler, but he is ready to respect whatever decision Ryu would like to make. Our hero wastes no time in saying that the Empire can go shove it where the sun doesn't shine. He is extremely upset with the way he was treated by them, and even Alto happily laughs at this decision. He also admits that his daughter was begging him to make Ryu her butler, and now he knows why. Our hero thanks Alto for accepting him so easily, but he wonders if the other people of the castle are ready to welcome him with the same energy. The Demon Lord says that there is no need to worry about such things because Ruru has made sure to make everyone accept Ryu into the castle. She may have been a bit forceful about it, but this is only because Alto has spoiled her as a child. Ryu is a bit puzzled by this, but Alto tells him that he will soon learn why Ruru is essentially a spoiled brat. Later, Ryu is taken to an arena where we see a lot of people gossiping with each other. As our hero tries to figure what is going on over here, Ruru sees him and happily rushes towards her new butler. She asks if he is feeling fine now and also confesses that she missed him a lot. As a matter of fact, she was ready to stay by his side the whole time and would even think about him while at work. Our hero tells her that he is completely fine now, but their romance is interrupted when a couple of other girls come to the scene and ask Ruru to leave some of Ryu for them as well. These girls are shown to be cute themselves, and then Ruru introduces them to her new butler. The one in white is Nell Ermel, who is a magician as well as Ruru's cousin. She is a bit flirty and playful, but the same can't be said about the girl in black, who is Zera. She is the knight captain, but is a bit skeptical of Ryu, despite all the heroic acts he has done so far. Zera shows her emotions almost instantly when she says she does not believe Ryu to be worthy of being Ruru's butler. She thinks his body is too weak, and she also refuses to accept that a human can become the demon princess's butler. She gets a bit out of hand with the way she speaks, so Ruru tells Zera to calm down. She reminds her that Ryu was the one who saved her life. But even then, Zera can't accept the fact that a human is working inside the castle. Now, Ruru says that there is a reason for her setting up this arena because she is going to test whether our hero is strong enough to become her butler. Suddenly, a demon knight shows up, and Ryu is told to prove his power in front of all the audience members. Zera says that Ryu will have to face off against an elite knight from her squad, and she will accept him if he manages to beat this knight by fair means. Our hero gets the message and prepares to fight his opponent, as per Ruru's instructions. The opponent does not appreciate the fact that Ryu is not using any weapons, but he says that his hands are his preferred choice. It's time to begin the battle, and the Demon Knight starts off with a finisher move. But Ryu is up to the task, and he just stands there as the strike is directed right next to him. The girls watch from the sidelines and comment on how unfair it is for Ryu to deal with an intimidating weapon. Zera is not impressed that our hero did not move as per the attack, and the Demon Knight also says the same thing. Of course, Ryu mocks him by asking if there was any need to avoid such a useless attack, and this angers the Demon Knight a lot. He tries a serious strike this time, but Ryu is too quick, and he manages to come up from behind. The moment he does this, he lands a kick to the Demon Knight's head and manages to defeat him with ease. The crowd is in shock, especially Zera, who can't believe the physical abilities that Ryu possesses. Anyway, she is forced to accept our hero.
Ryu is glad that he was able to level up before these battles because his efforts have borne him fruit. Ruru is so happy that she comes to congratulate him firsthand. She also tells everyone else in the area that there is nothing to worry about regarding our hero anymore. So it's time to throw a welcome party for Ryu. She then asks him to come with her, but he also has a request for the demon princess. Ryu gets down on one knee and offers his hand to Ruru, after which he says that he will gladly serve her as her butler with all his sincerity. Our hero knows that this is the first step he has taken ever since coming to this new world, and Ruru is pleased to see how polite her new butler is. She is happy to have him with her and is looking forward to see how he satisfies her with his performance. Of course, since she is the reason our hero is still alive so far, he will have no problem in doing whatever she asks of him. Meanwhile, we move back to the Lux Empire, where we can see the evil wizard girl Iris acting as if she has just received some horrible news. She tells the other students that Ryu has met a rather unfortunate end, although she has no idea of what all has happened ever since she betrayed our hero. Iris tries to play the victim by saying she could not do anything to rescue Ryu, but the others comfort her by saying this is not her fault. As a matter of fact, they also say that this was Ryu's fault because he should have known better than to go wandering outside without any kind of special skills. The students then chat amongst each other and wonder if Ryu had mistakenly convinced himself that he had some kind of special power. They even say that our hero was not grateful for what was being offered to him, as he would have been perfectly safe within the castle. In the middle of all this, there is one person who is truly saddened to hear this news, and it is Kinomoto. She is asked if she is all right, but then she says that all of this is a lie. She knows that everyone must have abandoned Ryu and they do not have any feelings for him at all. She had suspected this the entire time and blames herself for not being able to stop him when he was leaving. However, she is told that she should not put so much thought into Ryu because he has gone on his parents. After all, the son of a murderer is believed to turn out the same way. The students say it is better this way, and all that Kinomoto can do is cry for her friend. Meanwhile, we see the hermit, who is a bit animated by some recent news. He is talking to someone via telepathy and learns that the Death Mound Wolf was defeated, which means that the devil's curse used on the beast was a disappointment. He is a bit amazed by how such a power was countered, and then he asks the voice how long it has been since they have spoken to each other. The voice tells him that he only has one simple request for him because he does not wish to prolong this chat. Basically, he wants the hermit to stop messing around with the hanged man, which is a bit of a surprise. The hermit asks why this mysterious person is so obsessed with a single human, but the voice wants the answer in yes or no. The hermit realizes that he's talking to a busy person, so he states that there is no need for worry as he has no more use for the hanged man. Now, we learn that the initial plan was to have Ryu given a lot of despair while also blurring his memories. This would have pushed him down a path of revenge towards the Lux Empire, but that would have been the same old boring trope. The voice tells the hermit that altering our hero's memories would not be much of a concern, but if one more move is made on him, then there will be consequences to bear. The hermit says that this mysterious person worries too much, and is actually shocked to learn that countries can be moved in trying to keep him safe. Eventually, the two entities talk about the next year being a very interesting one because the continent will enter its golden age then. Heroes from other worlds, whether they are normal people or descendants of princes and princesses from all races, will enroll into the Imperial Capital Academy during this team. This will lead to a number of discoveries that even S-rank adventurers have never seen before. After all, the dragon beasts and other such creatures are becoming a lot more active already. Everything will converge in 1 year as if the whole thing was planned right from the start. The most important aspect out of this all is the 12th Arcana, who has been missing for a long time. He is the only one with the ability to grow amongst the completed Arcanas, which means that he is the one who can turn everything upside down all by himself. It's pretty obvious that this 12th Arcana is Ryu, and he is going to wreak a lot of havoc very soon as he is the trump card as per the prophecy. What lies ahead is indeed going to be a very turbulent era for everyone. Now, it's time to go back to Ryu and his new life at the demon castle. Just outside the place, we can see a little girl making her way outside the bushes and making her way to the castle. She seems to be attracted to some kind of scent and manages to eventually identify it as that of her master. We quickly move to the next morning where Ryu can be seen sleeping in peace, but then he feels some hair swish against his face. That's when he realizes that it's the tail of the same girl we saw earlier, and she is sleeping in the same bed as him. As expected, Ryu is shocked, and he lets out a massive scream upon seeing her. The beast girl wakes up and simply rubs her eyes while calling him her master. She says that her name is Shu and she has made herself smaller to accommodate our hero. Of course, Ryu is totally bamboozled by what has happened here because he has no idea who she is. He immediately takes Shu to the Demon King, who wonders if she is a little pup. Alto says that Shu is a beastkin uncommon to this place, and she seems to have missed Ryu. The Demon King wants to know why this is the case, but Ryu himself has no idea how things have come to be this way. Shu says that her master was able to cure her from pain and suffering back in the forest, but Ryu does not recall meeting her then. After all, he was just struggling to make it past his trials back then. The beast girl continues by saying her master was very strong and had asked her to come visit him when she got smaller. This prompted her to actually become smaller and come meet him over here. It is after he hears this that Ryu realizes that Shu is actually the giant wolf he had beaten earlier while protecting Ruru. Shu strikes a pose and acknowledges that she is indeed what our hero has identified her to be. The Demon King gets interested when he hears this. So Ryu further explains that Shu was a dirty blood wolf he had to fight while keeping Ruru safe. Of course, he never thought that the wolf would be able to become so small, but then his skill tells him to assess the wolf correctly. That's when he tells Alto that Shu is actually the Death-Mound Great Wolf. Alto can't believe what he is hearing, and he turns to Fina, who also claims that this is impossible. However, she states that Ryu's Arcana is a truly unique skill, so it should not come as a shocker. Fina then explains to our hero that long ago, there used to be werewolves in this world. They could change their appearance simply by drawing out monster blood, and their power would be on a very high level. Of course, the humans saw these beings as a threat, so they eradicated the race by borrowing power from the elves. However, one such werewolf managed to survive the massacre, and it made destructing its sole purpose in life. Not only did this wolf destroy an entire nation within one night, it was also able to devour half of the new sanctuary, which is the great forest where the elves reside. This caused the humans to realize their mistake and they deeply regretted their actions, eventually naming this monster the Death-Mound Great Wolf. This is quite the story for Ryu to hear, and after seeing Shu's reaction, it does look like the lore is true. However, the lore also stated that the wolf disappeared after exacting its revenge. So it's quite odd to see that Shu was in the forest where Ryu found her. The beast girl explains that she has no clue as to how she got there, because when she finally came to her senses, she saw herself in that forest. Until then, she was in a great deal of pain, and the only way to stop it was to destroy everything in her path. Ryu realizes their Shu is talking about the curse that was placed on her, and then she cutely apologizes for attacking him. She tries to justify why she behaved that way, but our hero knows it and pats her on the head to show his affection. He asks her if Shu is her full name, so she reveals that it's actually Shuvate. Of course, it would be easier to just call her Shu, and our hero can't bring himself to blame her for her actions. Not only did she lose her family and friends, she was all alone when the curse hit her, so she really has seen the worst of it. Shu then states that she does not have a place to go back to, because no matter where she goes, people will be scared of her. However, Ryu is stronger than Shu, so he will never fear her. Shu blushes as she pleads with her master to let her be with him. She wants to spend all her time together with Ryu and live a simple life because she does not want to be alone anymore. This is a very emotional moment, especially as Shu hugs our hero while in tears. Such a scene would make anyone cry, and we can see Ryu also embracing Shu with care. He wants to ask Alto if he can keep Shu with him, but the Demon King says yes even before he presents the question. Ryu is surprised by this behavior, but Alto says he can pretty much predict it after seeing our hero's face. After all, he is basically like a relative to him, so there is no need to be so shy about it. Now, Ryu tells Shu that if she is fine with it, then he would like her to be with him forever. This makes her very happy, and she hugs our hero once again, promising to always be by his side. It's a nice change of tone from the usual shady tone of comic guzzlers, and then we move to the next day. We see Shu in her new outfit, but it looks a bit concerning as she has a muzzle and a bell on her. Fina explains to Ryu that she has tended to Shu's hair and clothes, and the bell is simply in case the beast girl gets lost in this massive palace. Our hero admits that Shu looks a lot cleaner now, but he asks if the muzzle is really necessary. Shu says that this was actually her own request because she wants to look less threatening. It's hard to believe that such a cute beast girl would be scary. But anyway, Shu asks her master to exercise dominion over her. Basically, this will allow the stored energy to be reverted to the target companion, but Ryu is not too sure of the term. He asks Shu if she is fine with this, and she says that she is just happy to be connected with her master. Ryu asks Shu why she keeps calling him master, and she says that is just how things are. She explains that when she fought against our hero, he had managed to tie and put Shu down with his power, which made her realize that there was no way for her to win against him. At this moment, something tightened inside Shu's stomach, and that's when she knew she had to refer to Ryu as her master. The beast girl starts to pant out of excitement as she says this, but our hero feels that there is something seriously wrong with this method of explanation. He hopes it's just his imagination and not his intrusive thoughts coming in, so he decides to hold Shu's hand and take her with him. Fina reminds our hero that it is time for the three demon sisters to have their tea party, which means that he must go and serve them as per his duties as the butler. It would also be great if he could show the demon girls the new thing he has been training on. So Ryu tells Fina that he is going to flex his skills to the fullest degree. How exactly is our hero going to go about his new job? And how is he going to take on his new role as Shu's caretaker?
Now that Ryu has become a proper demon butler, he needs to make sure he serves his demon princess as per her demands. On that note, we shift straight to Ruru, who is also known as the Princess of Annihilation. She comments that they are in the middle of a grave situation and keeps focusing on how messed up it is. She is with her demon sisters Nell and Zera, who both have mixed reactions to what Ruru is saying. Nell tells her that she is making a scary face, which is not at all like her, and Zera says that she would like to hear the details of what's going on. Now, we see our hero entering with a tray as he explains to us that these three demon princesses have been chosen not through lineage, but rather through their abilities to uphold the demon kingdom. Either way, these are the three girls who are closest to the demon king, so Ryu has to make sure he keeps them happy. After he enters the room, Nell tells Ruru that she is going to scare the butler away if she continues to make this scary face. This makes the demon princess panic, and she reassures our hero that she is not angry or anything like that. Our hero does not care about scary faces because he is the scariest of them all. He comments that even though these three girls are supposed to be demon princesses, they are actually much nicer than the average American and seem like normal girls to him. Now, Nell tells Ruru that she was just teasing her and she actually looks cute when she's angry. Zera tells her sister not to tease Ruru so much because it will affect their current meeting. After all, there's a human over here, so Zera does not want the demon girls to look like fools in front of him. Ryu does not mind Zera's attitude towards humans because there could be a reason for such intense hatred, just like the mysteries of African Americans and their treatments by police officers. Having said that, such a persona is a bit insufferable to our hero, and he wonders if he should even put in any effort to riz her up. Of course, he has to be nice because he is the butler over here, and then he proceeds to offer some treats to the demon girls. They love the food instantly, with Ruru commenting on how delicious it is while Nell says that it's soft and crispy at the same time. Even Zera says that the food is quite exquisite, which is expected of the chef. However, Ryu reveals to the girls that he is the one who made the treats because he had learned about Ruru loving sweets. The demon princess is shocked to hear this, and Nell tells Ryu that he has truly done an amazing job here. She asks for another serving while Zera just sits there in disbelief over what she has just heard. She thinks of having another bite, but makes sure to tell our hero that he should not think he has won with this session. He agrees with Zera, but in his head, he knows that the Riz Master has gotten to work. Now, Ryu asks Ruru about the serious matter she was mentioning right before he walked in. That's when the demon princess remembers that they are running out of sunshine grass in the castle, which is a really bad thing for them. We learn that sunshine grass is supposed to be the raw material used to make sugar in this world. Of course, this means that sunshine grass is important for making treats like the ones Ryu made just now, so he wants to know more about how it is sourced. The demon girls tell him that they usually buy it from the town next to the castle, but they seem to have experienced a terrible crop failure this season. Their lands are as dry as a standard otaku, and one of the main reasons for it is the lack of sunshine. Since the item is named sunshine grass, it's normal to assume that it needs sunlight to grow. As per the rumors, the sun seems to have stopped rising in the village, which is truly bad news. Ruru says that this is terrible news because she will never be able to enjoy sweets anymore. Nell is only curious about such a strange occurrence regarding the sun, and even Zera says that she has never heard of such a thing before. Ruru now stands up and says that she has come up with a plan to counter this horrible news. She then turns to Ryu and Zera and tells them that they will be investigating this case together. Our hero takes a look at Zera and she does the same right before they realize what has just happened. As expected, they are both shocked that they have been allotted this role, but Nell seems to think this is a perfect arrangement. She even praises Ruru for her decision, and the demon princess soaks in the applause. She then turns to Ryu and Zera to tell them that they should try to get along now. Zera tells Ruru that this will be tough for her because Ryu is a human. However, the demon princess is not having any of it, and she tells them both that they have to investigate this situation together. Ryu and Zera take a look at each other once more before conforming to Ruru's wishes. After all, Ryu is her butler, so he needs to do as his princess says. Now, we shift to a carriage which is carrying Ryu and Zera as they set out to begin their investigation. Our hero is reading a book and minding his own business, but then he turns his eyes towards Zera, who is just sitting there and not even doing anything. This is indeed a very awkward situation for our hero, and he wonders if he should start a conversation with the demon girl. Of course, they were told to get along, but Ryu can truly sense the hatred that Zera has towards humans. Suddenly, his eye catches something and he realizes that he has finally found an icebreaker. It's a massive pillar, which Ryu says he has no idea of, so Zera asks him if he has ever heard of the Babel Tower. He simply feigns ignorance and says that he is not even able to see the top of the tower. Zera says that the Babel Tower is also known as the Sage Tower or the Language Unification Tower. This tower is said to pierce through the heavens and has been standing in the world ever since the ancient times. Apparently, the Babel Tower has the power to unify all the languages in the world, and this catches Ryu's interest for sure. After all, he has been able to read, write, and speak normally in this world even though he comes from Japan, which has a completely different language. Of course, the main question on our hero's mind is that the Babel Tower seems to know Japanese as well, although there should not be any reason for that. Anyway, Ryu wants to be nice to Zera, so he thanks her for telling him about the tower. Sadly, his kindness is only met with hostility as Zera tells him he does not need to use any honorifics with her. She is not the type who likes to be flattered, and she hates those who like to suck up to others to gain favors. As a matter of fact, she wants to puke just thinking about it, and reminds Ryu that his polite behavior is not going to change her opinion of him. She still thinks of him to be a shady man, but then again, which man of culture isn't? As expected, Ryu gets annoyed because Zera is talking like a typical Hollywood girl boss, so he states that he will not speak to her politely anymore. There's no need to be so hostile anyway, but maybe Zera is having her special time of the month, so Ryu can't make a big fuss about it. The demon girl is fine with him being informal in his tone, and she states that they are going to a human village. Since that is the case, our hero is told that he will go and collect information from the villagers by himself. Once he has gathered enough intel, he and Zera will decide what to do next. The demon girl asks Ryu if he has any problem with this, but he agrees because he realizes she does not wish to engage with humans at all. Since he is of the same species, it makes more sense for him to collect the intel, but then he has another question on his mind. Ryu wants to know what race Zera has come from because she does not seem to have any of the normal traits that demons are known for. The main traits that Ryu knows of from the books are Drackle, Dark Elf, and Nightmare, but Zera does not fit into any of those categories, so she really must be a rare breed. It's either that, or maybe no one wishes to mate with such a grumpy race. Ryu decides to take a risk, so he asks Zera about her race, but she makes a scary face and tells him that there is no need for him to know such a thing. She reacts the same way a normal girl does when you ask her age, so our hero decides to back off for now. He can't seem to understand what's wrong with Zera, because he was literally just asking a simple question, but then again, normal women react far worse to far simpler questions. Anyway, Ryu just marks this off as something Zera does not like to be asked, so he refrains from asking any further questions. Meanwhile, we can see Nell and Ruru having some sweets and chatting with each other. Nell wonders if Ryu and Zera are getting along with each other, but Ruru says that it will not happen so easily. She will be happy even if they happen to get along just a little bit, but then again, Zera's attitude can't be helped because of what the humans did to her. Ruru still says that she hopes the two of them can at least become a bit friendlier to each other, because they are somewhat similar in a way. Nell agrees with this statement and says that the new butler was just like Zera when they first met. She also asks Ruru if she is fine with such a task because Zera could end up taking our hero away from her. The demon princess may not have taken this into consideration because she is visibly shocked to hear this. She keeps saying that it will be fine, and she relies on Ryu's dedication towards her to pull through. However, Ruru is not too confident now, so she asks Nell if all will be well. Nell says that she will do something from her end if Zera were to break loose, but Ruru does not like this idea because that something is basically a curse. Nell simply laughs at this and says that if the demon princess wants a curse, then she will give her a curse for sure, because she is just like the devil himself. Now, we move back to our hero and Zera as they find themselves inside a forest. They will be reaching the village soon, but nothing odd has happened with them yet. As a matter of fact, the sun is still there, so what Ruru told them earlier does not make any sense. Ryu wonders if all of this was just an elaborate hoax, but then he remembers that the impact of sunshine grass was indeed impacted due to a lack of supply. He tells Zera that they should not let their guard down as they have still not reached the village yet. At this very moment, the demon girl becomes alert of something in their presence. Ryu finds this odd and asks her if she is all right, but then we see Zera looking at the moon as if she has been possessed by it. This is rather odd, because demon girls should not be reacting to the moon like that. More importantly, the moon has literally just appeared right now, whereas the two of them were in broad daylight seconds ago. Ryu is a bit surprised because the moon has only arrived now that he and Zera have gotten close to the village. Suddenly, there is a noise telling our hero that his trial will commence now, and he notes that it's been a while since he last heard such a thing. He asks Zera if she is fine, and she seems to be unaffected. The demon girl says that this must be some kind of barrier, but Ryu has never heard of a barrier that can suddenly summon the moon. Zera admits that she has never heard of such a barrier as well, because it sounds like something that Muzan would have definitely loved to create. Out of nowhere, a giant monster appears, and Ryu's stat bar tells him that he will need to encounter it as a part of the Hanged Man trial. However, before the system can tell Ryu about any further details, Zera seems to awaken something dark inside her, and she brings out her sword. The demon girl wastes no time in slashing off the monster's head with just one strike, and she poses while the monster's head drops to the floor. Ryu can't believe what he's seeing because what Zera has pulled off is quite impressive. The demon girl tells our hero that monsters become a lot more active at night, so he will need to be careful. Ryu can only marvel at the power he has seen right now because demons in general are on a whole other level. As the blood flows from the demon's body, Zera tells Ryu that he should go ahead and keep straight till he reaches the village. He asks her where she is going, but she only says that she will catch up later. Ryu does find this to be suspicious, so he slowly walks away while keeping an eye on Zera, who looks at the headless body of the monster with shady eyes. Anyway, our hero carries on, and he eventually reaches the village known as Evernight, which sounds like it was only recently chosen due to the current situation. The people thank Ryu for coming over to investigate the matter because they have been facing quite a few issues. A woman says that it's been very inconvenient for her to do the laundry ever since the sun stopped showing itself. If not anything else, at least she is a woman, but the focus is on the sun, so a man with glasses tells Ryu to talk to the old woman at the inn, just like in RPG games. As our hero looks for the inn, he has slowly accepted that the rumor about the sun in Evernight is indeed true and not unfounded. Suddenly, Zera shows up from behind and asks Ryu what the progress is like. Of course, any normal person would have soiled their pants after such a shocker, but Ryu has strong control over his bowels. He tells the demon girl that she should not startle him so abruptly, but she tells him that she does not have time for his delicate sensitivities. She wants an update, so Ryu tells her about the old lady at the inn who could give them answers. Zera does not want to waste any time, but she doesn't have to either, because the inn they are looking for is right in front of them, and it looks rather lavish. Ryu enters the inn and meets the old lady, who readily tells him about the incident. After the village got caught in an endless loop of night, the old lady had seen the figure of a dragon roaring at the moon while on top of the mountain. She remains adamant that she saw this for sure, even though Ryu does not believe that a dragon would show up like this. The old lady states that she was the only one who saw this beast, so there is no one else who can back her up. She laments that no one takes her story seriously, so even if she were to request an investigation at the Adventurers Guild, there is a good chance that no one will even look at her. Ryu simply thanks the old lady for her time, and then he reflects upon what he has just heard. First of all, a being as mythical as a dragon does seem to be a fictional beast even in this world, but our hero does not think that the old lady is lying. Zera was listening in on the entire conversation, so our hero asks her if she paid attention to it. She says yes, but even the demon girl is a bit skeptical after hearing about the dragon part. She looks a little tired, so Ryu suggests getting some rest right now and continuing the next day. Surprisingly, Zera does not nag at him and agrees to his suggestion peacefully. Ryu wonders if something has happened to the demon girl because she has been acting the nicest she ever has to him ever since they came to this town. There's no use thinking about such things right now, so Ryu wishes a good night to Zera and goes into his room. Later, we see our hero trying to sleep at night, but he is struggling with something. He is alone in bed, so maybe he feels like he needs a curvy body beside him, but that's not the point. Our hero is sad because he thought he had managed to get along with Zera after impressing her with his cooking, but she has become worse ever since she was put to work on this mission. Ryu then says he should not be so hard on himself because he could not get along with girls in his previous life either. As a matter of fact, he did not have any friends at all in his past life, so it's somewhat like history repeating itself. Now, we learn that our hero can't sleep because he's having nightmares, and he says that he should not be remembering his horrible memories right before bedtime. He closes his eyes again, hoping to get some rest, but then he sees himself standing outside a room. As he is about to open the door, he hears someone screaming murderer and wakes up. He takes a look outside and can see that it's still dark, but there's no way of knowing if it's morning or night because of the sun's disappearance. Our hero wonders how long it's been since he went to sleep, and he feels like he should go check up on Zera. Ryu asks the innkeeper about the demon girl, and he says that she went outside not too long ago. He adds that Zera looked a bit unsteady when she left, so he tried to stop her, but she did not listen to him at all. Ryu can't believe this, and he wonders if Zera had gone to the mountains to investigate them herself. He does not want to risk anything, so he steps out immediately. Our hero knows that if anything were to happen to Zera, then it would make Ruru unhappy, and he does not want to see a frown on his mistress's face. As he explores the forest, Ryu can sense that something is a bit off, so he takes a look around, but can only see the leaves rustling. He thinks it's just the wind, but then his foot lands on something. Ryu takes a look at what's behind him only to see that it's the head of the monster that Zera had slashed off earlier. Of course, this is a scary sight, so our hero gets spooked out and falls to the ground. As he tries to figure what's going on, we can see that the head and the body of the monster are both on the ground. Our hero realizes what this beast is, but it's strange to see its current condition because it hasn't been long since the monster was taken down. The head and the body look extremely dried up, almost as if something has sucked the blood out of it, thus hinting that there is a Dracula spin-off just around the corner. Ryu immediately gets up and runs through the forest because he fears that Zera might be in danger if she has to face off against a vampire. While he runs through the woods, our hero can see other monsters on the ground as well, completely dried out as if they don't have even a drop of blood left in their bodies. He can only hope for Zera to be fine, and then he follows his intuition to make sure he's getting to the right location. There are water sounds, indicating the presence of a river, and that's when Ryu realizes that Zera isn't in danger, but rather is the danger herself. Ryu is in shock, but then he steps on something and it alerts the demon girl, who has now confirmed that she is actually a vampire babe. He tries to change the subject by saying he did not mean to see Zera in her birthday suit. He was just worried for her, but this excuse is not going to spare him at all. Ryu says that he will head back to the village, but he is suddenly attacked by Zera, who states that he has seen her wound. Her golden eyes are shining in the darkness, and her fangs are a lot longer than most men's elephants, so Zera is not just a normal vampire. She has been awakened by the blood of the true ancestors, and has mutated from the human race because of it. Now that Zera's big secret is out, she tells Ryu that he will have to pay for this with his life. Now, Zera reveals that the moon, the darkness, and the smell of blood have always made her crazy. She has a memory that never heals, and it forces her to hate her own existence as well as her curse. However, what she hates the most is the human race, which seems to have something to do with her being a vampire. Now, she holds her sword against Ryu's neck, and he has found himself in a rather tight spot. It's actually one of the rare occasions where you do not want to have a bare woman on top of you. Our hero brushes up his memory and recalls reading about vampires in the book. They are a species which has mutated from humans and possess everything that we currently see in Zera. They also seem to have devil wings, but they are not displayed for now. We need some more context, so we learn that in the prehistoric times, there was a demon known as the True Ancestor who was able to overcome his weakness of sunlight. Once again, this is like a dream come true for Muzan, but sadly for him, this is not a demon slayer story. Anyway, the supreme demon was able to attack any living being with blood in their veins, and he wreaked lots of havoc before suddenly disappearing one day. However, the demon made sure to leave behind his own blood in the human race, and his babies were called abominations. Back to the present, Zera tells Ryu that he has to lose his life because he can't be left alive knowing her big dark secret. Basically, Zera will not be able to survive in the demon world if her identity as a vampire gets leaked out to the public, so she needs to end Ryu for her own sake. Ryu tries to save himself by saying he will not utter a word of this to anyone other than the two of them, but we all know that there is no way the vampire girl is going to take his word for it. After all, she will never forgive humans for what they have done to her. It's time for a flashback for added context, and we see Zera as a sweet little girl. She is celebrating her 5th birthday during this flashback with her parents, and it looks like she has a great life. It was a modest life, but a simple and happy one, so Zera did not need anything else at all. One day, Zera got a nice little crown from her parents, so she went outside to play in the field. Here, she came across a neighbor lady and greeted her happily. Zera happily showed off what her father and mother made for her, and the lady was also impressed by it. She even said that Zera would grow up to become a beauty like her mother, but at this very moment, Zera felt something in her back. She tried to figure out what it was, and the lady also took a look, but then vampire wings suddenly came out of her back. This indicated that Zera was a vampire, and the lady got shocked upon seeing it. She instantly changed the tone of her voice and even called the little Zera a monster, which was messed up. She referred to Zera as the one with unclean blood and then ran away asking for help. Of course, Zera did not get why the lady would say such a thing, but her life would change rather abruptly after that moment. Zera went back home and showed her new form to her mom, who was also shocked to see that her daughter was a vampire. Zera told her mom everything about what the lady told her, but the mom told her that she will always remain her beloved child. Zera was also emotional and said that the auntie looked really scared of her. It led her to believe that she was a bad child, but her parents told her that she was the sweetest child in the world. Zera's dad said that they would go on a picnic the next day to some place far away, clearly hinting at an escape from this place, but it was too late for them as the other villagers reached their home in no time. The illiterate fools demanded for the parents to hand over their daughter because she is a vampire. Since she awakened the blood of the traitor demon, she was a threat and even her parents would get punished for hiding her. Both the mother and father realized that their time was up, and they told Zera to go hide somewhere. They promised that they would sort everything out after talking it out with the villagers, but this was a clear lie. Anyway, Zera's parents told her that she was the same child as she had always been, and then her mom hugged her one last time to say she loved her. The innocent Zera took comfort in the warmth of her mother's arms, but alas, her next visual was that of her parents' burnt corpses in front of her. This was the worst possible thing a child like her could have seen at the time, and to make matters worse, the illiterate fools decided to attack her next. Poor Zera was grabbed by the villagers, who were actually the real monsters, not her. She begged to be let go, but the villagers only wanted to take her life. Before doing so, they decided to chop off her wings because they made her look hideous, apparently. What followed was an unsightly method of torture, but little Zera managed to survive the attack. Now, we are back to the present and we can fully understand why Zera is the way she is around humans. She drops her sword and asks Ryu what her mother and father had done to the humans to deserve such a cruel fate. All of this was simply because she had awakened the blood of some urban legend. The vampire girl has tears in her eyes due to recalling her horrific memories, and she asks Ryu if it is wrong for her to live. This takes our hero down a very dark path as well, because he too has trauma because of his parents. After all, since Ryu's parents were murderers, everyone looked down on him as well because the seed doesn't fall far from the tree. As a matter of fact, Ryu was also made to question whether he even deserved to live. It was always about his parents whenever anyone would talk about him. Our hero tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. As a matter of fact, he had to fall to lose it all, but once again, in the end, it doesn't even matter. After such a tumultuous journey, it would be fair to say that Ryu has become so numb that he can't feel us there. Now, Zera asks him to snap out of his dreams and tell her why humans are so obsessed with bloodlines and ancestry. The both of them are filled with emotions and they tell each other at the same time that they just want to be looked at for what they are and not what they have come from. At this moment, the both of them realize that they are much more similar than they had imagined. Ryu realizes that this is his time to offer some comfort to Zera, so he takes off his shirt in order to over her curvy body. He then grabs the vampire girl and tells her to get a hold of herself, even going on to call her a fool. This is a very emotional moment, which has brought tears to the eyes of comic guzzlers as well, but then all the tension is dispersed when Zera gets offended over being called a fool. Ryu calls Zera out for wanting to be seen as what she is while still being so obsessed about humans. He tells her that he has always looked at her as Zera and not anything else, so she needs to stop with the racism here. These words make the vampire girl very emotional, and she looks at our hero with hope in her eyes, which was not there for a very long time. Now, Ryu tells Zera that it should not matter to her if she is a vampire, but she says that's a lot easier said than done because he has come from another world. She explains that she can't live without the blood of other beings, and her race is feared all over the world because her ancestor drained half the blood supply of an entire continent. Ryu simply looks at Zera like a Giga Chad and says that taking the lives of others for personal gain is a very straightforward thing. Humans are known to be even crazier in that regard, because Ryu's own parents took the lives of their relatives simply to get a big payday. Zera is shocked to learn this, and our hero tells her more about all the things he had to go through as a child because of the crimes of his parents. Of course, he didn't even do anything and was just a kid at the time, but none of that stopped the bullies from picking on him or damaging his mental state. Ryu was even asked how it felt to be a murderer, but he just had to accept the fact that this was his life, even though he had done nothing to deserve such a cruel fate. This is where he explains to Zera that she will be herself no matter what other people might say about her. She might be a vampire girl, but that does not take away from the fact that she is the same daughter who was raised right by her parents. This leads to a nice and warm hug from our hero, which makes the whole scene very emotional. Zera is reminded of all the happy memories she had with her parents, and she begins to cry uncontrollably. Now, Ryu tells her that when he had rescued Ruru in the forest, she had seen Zera's smoke signal as they tried to find their way back to the castle. Ruru had referred to Zera as a friend with a smile on her face, which means that there are things for the vampire girl to look forward to. Then, our hero talks about how the demon Lord Alto and his head maid Fina gave him the book that had information on vampires. This means that they could be aware of Zera's secret, and even Nell looks at her with caring eyes. Ryu is sure that everyone in the demon castle treasures Zera as a friend, so she is not at all alone. The vampire girl reveals that she has often thought about how she could bring trouble to the people who have accepted her, which made her even more paranoid over the topic of deserving to live. Ryu tells her that everyone in the demon castle will be saddened if she were to ever lose her life, so she should not have such a negative perception. The vampire girl does not understand why our hero is being so normal with her, and she asks him if he is really not afraid of her at all. Ryu says he is not at all scared even though Zera did try to take his life. Ryu simply states that he saw her trembling, so he knew that she would not slash him with her blade. Zera still can't believe that Ryu can be nice to her, especially after the way she has been treating him until now. However, our hero unknowingly pulls out his Riz game and talks about how cute Zera looked when she was eating the treats he made for the demon girls. Zera is overcome with emotions because she has finally met someone who can understand her. She hugs Ryu and calls him a fool as well while reflecting on her hatred towards humans. She also hates the curse that has been torturing her for so long, but most importantly, she hates herself for still wanting to live despite all that she has been through as an innocent child. Now, we move back to the inn where our hero is chilling in bed with a fire magic stone in his hand. He casually tosses it aside into the cooking zone and begins to boil some milk. He takes a look at his status now, which is definitely impressive, but still nowhere close to a Sung Jinwoo. Ryu knows that he is able to use magical powers of his own because of Ruru giving him some of hers. On that note, he wonders what the mysterious symbols at the bottom of his stat bar are supposed to mean, and he considers talking to the mysterious voice for answers. Now, our hero gets done boiling the milk, but he is not sure if he should hand it over to Zera. After all, she might be extremely tired from the emotional roller coaster she had today, and might be sleeping. On the other hand, it is also extremely shady for a man to go and visit a girl's room at night. Once again, we do not know if it's day or night due to the sun's absence, but some light definitely shines on our hero as Zera walks into his room with a pillow in her hand. Ryu takes a look at her and notices that she has not even slept yet, but Zera begins to act cute in front of him. Our hero asks the vampire girl if all is well, but she does not give him a response. He tells her that he has made some warm milk and he offers her a drink. Of course, she accepts his offer and then sits down next to him. The two of them try to have their drinks, but Ryu realizes that Zera is sitting a bit too close to him. Zera can notice the butler boy getting nervous, so she asks him what's wrong, but he says that's supposed to be his line. Our hero can't let his intrusive thoughts out yet, so he tells Zera that they should be fine after getting to drink this warm milk. After that, they will be able to get on with the investigation just as they had planned. The look on Zera's face says it all, but even she does not want to reveal her intrusive thoughts, so she plays along with Ryu. She can't take her eyes off his toned body, so she tries to make more conversation with him by apologizing for what she had done to him earlier. Of course, Ryu tells her not to worry about such things because he is a man, not a wuss. He then turns his Riz game back on and tells Zera that he is thankful to her for opening up to him after repeated efforts. Zera takes a look at her milk and then she asks our hero for how long he is going to be doing this to her. Ryu does not know what she is talking about, but then Zera states that she does not want him to be so formal around her. Ryu needs to drop the honorifics, which he does immediately after being told to. However, this seems to have some kind of effect on the vampire girl and she becomes very shy. Ryu says that he has literally just called out her name, but she did not expect to become so overwhelmed by such a simple thing. Even she wants to try it now, so she refers to Ryu not just by his first name, but also by a nickname. The blushing just won't stop from the vampire girl, so our hero realizes he needs to put a stop to their hormones right now. It's time to continue the search for the dragon, and soon enough, the couple reaches the mountain that the old lady had told them about earlier. As they get close to their destination, Ryu can feel a sudden twitching in his body as the air begins to feel a bit heavier. He asks Zera if she is feeling the same thing, and she agrees that maybe the whole story about a dragon is not a hoax after all. The dragon in question could be a celestial beast known as Giver Jia worm, which most definitely is nothing like an actual worm. This dragon is said to have existed right from the beginning of time in this world. It means that the beast has a vast array of knowledge and wisdom, so maybe Ryu can get some answers from him. We learn that dragons are anyway considered to be a rare species over here, but even among them, there are 3 pillars which are known to be revered like gods. They include the celestial dragon, the terra dragon, and the sovereign dragon. As per what Zera told him, Ryu states that the only dragon pillar capable of creating eternal night is the celestial dragon, which means that things are going to get very interesting. However, what our hero doesn't understand is the location of the dragon. At this very moment, the mysterious voice comes back and teases Ryu for being on a date with another girl. He asks the voice to shut up, but the voice says that he's happy to finally be talking to our hero after so long. He says that Ryu is being cold to him, even though he had helped him out last time. As expected, our hero does not recall receiving any kind of help from the voice, but there is no time for arguing, so the voice asks him what he's up to. This will be a long story for sure, but our hero figures that the voice could know something important, so he decides to share the details. After learning about the dragon, the voice says that this is definitely the profile of Eria, which is the celestial dragon's nickname. Ryu is confused, so the voice tells him that the Give Eria worm was a very long name, so he decided to shorten it to Eria. Another thing that the voice tells Ryu is that he should not even think about subjugating the celestial dragon because he will be no match for it. Our hero explains that he's well aware of this and has come to this place to negotiate with the dragon as he had heard that it can understand his language. The voice is pleased to hear this, but he also wonders what would have led the celestial dragon to cause eternal night. After all, the beast is not really known for causing trouble to other people. At this very moment, we hear a lot of roaring, which means that the dragon must be close by. Zera tells our hero to stay on his guard because they are going to reach soon, and just as she says this, they come across the celestial dragon, which is currently asleep. It truly is a massive beast, and it wakes up when it hears the footsteps of our hero and the vampire babe. The celestial dragon does not like to be woken up abruptly, so it lets out a roar and attacks Ryu with a fire blast. Our hero is stunned, but Zera is able to save him from the blast just before it hits him. Things are not looking good because Ryu was only barely able to dodge the blast, so he tries to talk to the dragon by saying he has not come here to fight. In response, the dragon angrily tells him to keep quiet because he feels that this is a trick being played by a couple of foolish adventurers. Seeing the nature of the celestial dragon, Ryu's system activates and tells him that the beast is hostile towards him. The content of the Hanged Man trial will be revealed now, which is to calm down the celestial dragon. In addition to this, the reward for this trial will change in proportion to the reverse spell. The voice comments that this looks bad, but Ryu corrects him by saying this is borderline critical. He thinks of using the reverse spell now itself, but that would come with a lot of uncertainties, so he is not assured of a victory. There is a time limitation as well, so things are not looking good for our hero, but then Zera shows up with her sword and prepares for battle. The dragon is amused to see this and asks the vampire girl if she wants to tickle his feet, considering she's as small as a tiny mushroom. Zera asks Ryu if he can buy her 10 minutes, which is actually a lot of time, but it's his best bet, so our hero agrees. He knows that it will be the end of him if he fails, but he'll most likely perish either way. On that note, he confirms that Zera needs 10 minutes from him, and then he relies on the power of his reverse skill. The celestial dragon is a bit confused by what he is seeing, but Ryu knows exactly what needs to be done. The voice tells him that greed will not be the right match for the dragon because that skill only works on weaker monsters. It's time to rely on intuition, so our hero thinks back to what he felt when he was in the deep, dark forest. All he can think of is an endless hunger, and this is enough for his level to get cleared. The sin that has been chosen for him is gluttony, which is the second unique skill Ryu has awakened. The voice is also impressed, because he will get to see the true power of gluttony as well now. After chanting a long spell, Ryu transforms into his battle form, which is the gluttonous locust Zebulgra. Now, our hero tells Zera that he is trusting her with his life, and even she says that she is doing the same thing. Now, Ryu takes a look at his stat bar, which is a lot more impressive than his normal one. He has double S rank agility, flight, and provocation magic, which does sound like a dangerous move. The timer is set to 15 minutes, so Ryu has to give it his best shot as he will also get some good rewards for being able to keep the celestial dragon engaged. He uses the gluttony lock while flying up, and this essentially forces the dragon to lock all his attacks on our hero. The celestial dragon notices that Ryu is using arcana magic against him, which is impressive. However, our hero is still an incomplete hanged man, so there's not much that can be done against a dragon of this nature. Hearing this shocks Ryu because he did not know he was still incomplete. This is all the dragon needs to launch an attack on him, and he is only just about able to make it out alive. The wind pressure from the dragon's movements causes Ryu to spiral out of control and crash, which is enough for him to consider that his time is up. The dragon is about to attack him with a finisher move now, but it turns out that our hero was simply pulling a bluff on him. This makes the dragon halt, and Ryu uses the buffer time to fly up in the sky for some kind of cushioning. The celestial dragon unleashes some of his moves, but none of them seem to work against our hero, as he dodges them all with relative ease. The dragon gets annoyed and calls Ryu the Lord of the Flies with the way he's moving around. However, this is not the time for pop culture references, so the beast decides to teach him a lesson for messing with the wrong entity. What Ryu notices is that Eria is also faking it with him, but in a battle sense. Our hero realizes that there are times when the dragon stops his attacks outright and then uses conversation as filler. This means that the beast is hiding something for sure, and Ryu needs to figure out what it is. He can sense a breakthrough soon in this fight, and he goes up into the sky, letting the dragon follow him as well. The two opponents lock eyes in the middle of the nightly background, and Ryu says it's time to kick off a game of life and death, which shall be played in the format of tag. The battle is rather intense, with the dragon chasing after Ryu with lightning-level speed. Our hero is able to dodge the beast, but he starts to feel the heat with the rising intensity of the battle. The voice decides to cheer him on by saying he should do his best, but then he also tells Ryu that if he fails, then he will meet a slow and miserable end, which is not what anyone wants to hear while fighting a dragon. Ryu tells the voice to shut up, and then we shift to the dragon, who gets annoyed by all this dodging. He calls out Ryu for only being able to run away from him, and he questions his ability to challenge a beast like him. However, our hero simply says that he is not trying to challenge the dragon at all. On that note, he turns to Zera and asks her how much time is left for her to do her thing. His reverse mode is only active for another 5 minutes, which means that Ryu has been able to successfully evade the dragon for 10 minutes. Now, we turn to Zera, who has used this time to accumulate an insane amount of power, just like Goku with his spirit bomb. She strikes a pose and unleashes some dark vibes, which make the dragon realize that she is indeed the Vampire Night King's ancestor who has managed to awaken his power. The celestial dragon knows that the Vampire Night King was a formidable opponent, so he decides to stop holding back. This makes Ryu alert, and he tells the beast that he will not allow him to hurt Zera. However, even before he can finish his sentence, our hero is smacked away by the dragon's blast and he crashes to the ground. Ryu doesn't look like he will be able to recover from such an attack, and then the dragon descends to the ground. The beast says that provocation magic is nothing more than a futile attempt from a winged insect. He will just wipe out Ryu and Zera together, which is bad news even for the voice, who tells our hero that it's over now. After all, if Eria has gotten serious, it will only take him a couple of seconds to turn both his opponents into a lump of flesh. Something does not seem right to Ryu, because if this was the case, then there was no reason for the dragon to go easy on him for 10 whole minutes. Every single time Ryu had found himself in a position in front of the mountain, the celestial dragon had held back, but now it's preparing a blast attack. However, even though the dragon is capable of wiping out the entire mountain, it chose not to do so, and decided to descend first so that he could get closer to Ryu. Our hero wonders if it's because the dragon does not want to destroy the mountain, but then he figures it could be because he is trying to protect something hiding inside the mountain. Anyway, the attack is unleashed and it's heading straight towards Ryu, but he is able to hold it off by unleashing his own Cerberus attack. This is good enough to create a massive explosion which lights up the sky, but then we see our hero bruised and battered on the ground. The celestial dragon is annoyed to see that Ryu was able to devour his magical power and even weaken him a bit. However, our hero can't move anymore, so it's all but over for him. The dragon decides to finish him off, but Ryu says that he feels no fear even though he can't move anymore. This is because he trusts in Zera, who has finally awakened after taking a lot more than 10 minutes. She says sorry to Ryu for taking up so much time, but he says it's fine because he was able to last this long. He leaves the rest to her, and this allows the vampire girl to call upon the vampire king for his powers. She swears upon her blood that the night is hers, and the dragon is shocked to see that she is actually a direct descendant of the vampire king. Zera only scolds the beast for beating down Ryu while he was protecting her, so she unleashes her wrath. Ryu is amazed to see the power of the vampire king, and Zera says that since he had accepted her for who she is, this is not only her descendants' power, but also her own power added to it. Now, Zera's eyes turn demonic and it looks like the spirit of the vampire king is talking through her now. After all, he claims to be the Daywalker who was able to conquer the sun, unlike Muzan. Zera also states that the blood of the ancestor who committed thousands of atrocities now flows through her. If this was the actual vampire king, then even a dragon would not be able to stop him because he has the strongest blood in the world. However, Eria himself does not look like he is going all out, and instead, he simply mocks Zera for imitating an ancient relic. As Zera prepares her attack, she states that she has been holding back this power which has been accumulated over years of drinking blood. Her magic sword is now at its full potential, and she will use its power to protect those who are dear to her. With that, Zera blasts the dragon with her ultimate sword technique known as Vampire Lord. It's a direct hit, but the dragon is still alive, so Zera uses the ultimate drain technique, known as Nosferatu. With that, the celestial dragon is defeated, and Ryu gets an update that he was able to survive its wrath. His strength of existence and max mana pool get increased, which means he has grown another level. He asks Zera if she ended the dragon, but she says she was only able to drain its magical power. This is good enough for the beast to lay dormant for a while, so Ryu tries to talk to the dragon now. However, Eria says that there will be no words exchanged between them at all. He then calls the adventurers greedy and states that he has not lost yet. As he tries to get up, Zera is confused because the dragon would have definitely given her a run for her money had he released the night barrier. Even Ryu realizes that the dragon could have conserved more of his magic power that way, and if he is to consider how easy the beast went on him and Zera earlier, something is definitely missing. Our hero gets closer to the dragon, but this makes Eria nervous, so he tells him not to get closer. Ryu reassures him that he won't do anything to Eria, but the dragon continues to panic. Ryu does not understand this behavior, but then he feels something on his legs, and it happens to be a cute little bunny with a horn. Both Ryu and Zera are surprised to see this bunny, which then hops onto Eria for comfort. The dragon tells the bunny to escape and to stop worrying about him, but the bunny refuses to leave. Eria tells our hero that he better not do anything to the bunny, otherwise he will get really serious with him and Zera. The dragon's intentions are now very clear, so both Zera and Ryu realize that there has been a very big miscommunication. Our hero goes to touch the bunny, and it makes Eria nervous, but then he sees Ryu petting the bunny calmly, which makes it happy. Both the bunny and the dragon are confused by Ryu's gesture, so our hero explains to them both that they need to talk to clear out the massive misunderstandings that have been caused between them. What is our hero going to do with the celestial dragon and his bunny? Also, are he and Zera going to become a couple now with their shared past traumas?